Usually when you're working on a show that has a lot of like intellectual property, that we avoid AI because we don't know how it's trained. We don't know what it was trained on.
Hi, my name's Jay Worth. I'm the overall VFX Supervisor and a co-executive producer on Fallout.
My name's Fred Ruff, and I'm the VFX Supervisor at Refuge and the head of the studio. And you're on Collider Behind the Scenes.
You do not want to know our Google searches. Because we've been doing this now for so long, I have my ranges, right? I've done full realistic military shows. I've done crazy over-the-top video game versions. It's like okay, which are we between? Are we between Westworld and Broadcast Health? Like, okay, there's our range. Which way are we leaning more one way or the other? And it's more based on those sorts of things for this show. I've seen what blood arteries look like, and everything else is more really based on the shots. Even for this one, we had a lot of figuring out of how violent, how visceral. Is it about the person? Is it about the reaction? Is it about the person who's firing and we want to deal with them? This one, oddly enough, the cons, we didn't even hate them enough to justify really living in that as much as somebody else. You know, we had ones last year where it's like, okay, this person's torturing that person. You can go a little further with it. Or even like also in one, when House blows up the guy's head, you want him to know that he's a horrible human being. So that one has a little extra to it. But it's still based on feeling more than practical. And we do reference ourselves when we're giving notes, at least. It's like, okay, well, I did some pretty gnarly stuff in Westworld. And that had a more but realistic quality to it. This, we definitely, when we started on this, we upped it based on the video game. But yeah, on the level of broadcast television to Tarantino, we kind of find our sweet spot where we need to. For most of these, we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to do. We choreograph them. We don't do much previs, but we do storyboards, we do stunt viz, and we plan out the beats fairly accurately. However, I have to say, usually all of our favorite things are found after the fact. There's a shot in the trailer where we have the people exploding as they're going into the pool, and then the ghoul tips his hat as the body parts rain down. That's like an iconic moment now, and it was all developed because of the way we cut the teaser. And then same thing, we carried that through, because in the teaser, it's a different shot than in the show. But then we liked what Refuge did so much in the teaser that we had to figure out how to put that feeling back into the show. So we added it into a shot that didn't have it otherwise, so we could get that same energy and vibe of it. And the same thing goes for the Rad Roach sequence. The Rad Roach sequence, we were under some serious financial constraints, and we did a first pass of it, just, for lack of a better word, trying to save some money. And we looked at it, and Fred and the team did an incredible job maximizing what we had said we could do. And then we all watched it, we're like, well, that doesn't work. Let's do the version that we really wanted to do. And we were able to add like all these rad roaches flying through the back. And we had planned some of the moments of like when it's fighting through the door and whatnot, but all of the rest of it, people were asking me, they're like, so how did you plan all that stuff at the end with all the performers inside and all the places, I'm like, that was all Refuge. I just said, all right, we want maximum mayhem and out of control. We trust you and love that this is the sort of thing you go, oh yes, I love me some rad roaches attacking the vaulties. And we really just let them go to town. I mean, it was mayhem in there. Me and the producers on the show, we love trusting our VFX artists, where we are not that one on the back, can you rotate it 24 degrees so it can be going after its actual, throat? But, we trust that our team is going, no, all the choreography all makes sense because this has to go here and this. And when we were doing our initial pass, because we had to figure out our things, we named all of our rad roaches. Instead of calling them 1, 2, and 3, it was like we made them after pet names. It's like Biscuit. We had all of our pets' names throughout all the things, attacking all the different people, because we had to keep track of them. But at the end of the day, the sequence came together really late. I mean, I don't even know, Fred, like 3 weeks before delivery, when we finally had that call and we were like, yeah, I know we told you it was going to work, and we agreed. You told us it wasn't going to work. We told the producer we didn't think it was going to work. We had to figure out how to make it work. And then we gave it a little extra, and that that little extra end up being everything that made the sequence work. So it's a little bit of both, I gotta say. It's definitely a combo platter of having a good solid plan with the flexibility to expand and grow it to make it better.
Yeah, I want to add to that, like for both sequences, like Jay is very trusting and we've developed a relationship that I enjoy because I feel like I'm working with him on something. He gives me the overall kind of concept and then I get to go and strategically figure out how we might do it. In Novak, there was those two cons that one got shot in the face, the other got shot in the chest. And, I'm trying to get like, well, what exactly does everybody want? And he's like, just try something, try something. So we were doing some stuff and I've learned to try to bring him things that are fully fleshed out. Like I don't bring him like gray shaded renders and say like, is the timing in the pipe? Because it doesn't matter because Jay can't approve it until it goes all the way up to the, the showrunners and the bosses and the creatives. And they're going to change things at the last minute. So you might as well bring him something that's fully fleshed out and is almost there. And then you're more likely to get like, yeah, that kind of works. But there was one in the first one, he was like, the guy got his leg blown off and we just blew it off screen. And he's like, can you just throw the leg float through the scene?
I want to have it tumble.
Yeah. And it was like, cool. Now we got this extra little moment where like, and I think I might have pitched, I was like, can the leg kick him in the face? He's like, no, that's too funny. You can't do that. So we had the leg flying through there. And then the Roaches, we were in a tough spot because like Jay said, we tried to flush it out and you get to the end of this show and you're trying to worry about budget. And we were like, God, there's like 3 or 4 shots in here that we really should do. And I felt really bad trying to go back and say, you need to do 3 or 4 shots more. So it really came to like, we try to put the budget aside and go artistically, it feels like you guys want to do these shots, but you can't. Can we have a conversation? We're good partners. Let's find a way to open it up. And I like to like handle sequences for people, not shots. Like give me the sequence. And if you need to add a shot, let's just throw it in. It's not, about every nickel and dime. Hopefully it'll all wash out in the end. And we did that with the Roaches and we had a lot of fun just picking the moments of Jay's instructions were like, they're stupid, but they're threatening, but they can't kill everybody. We have to let everybody get into the room first. So don't make them too threatening and don't make them too stupid. They have to strike a balance. And we tried to do that with ones in the background that were like, one of them's bumping up at a light, like randomly, because it doesn't know what's happening. And another one is just flying past. One of them actually commits suicide by hitting a column.
The column gets broken. It's great.
It's just fun to like, to be able to have it play. And we don't always get that. And that's what makes a good partnership is that we use the term like, where do you want the couch? If you get to the point in the show where you're just moving it and asking and moving it and asking, you've lost the artist, you've lost the creative. We try not to do that. It's like, let's have fun with it. He won't micromanage. We'll bring him back stuff and then we'll get real notes and we'll go and attack it. And hopefully it shows on screen because of all that.
We're still taking a lot of inspiration from the game. I mean, Novak, we were able to build it based on ideas from the game, but we knew we were going to need to tweak some things, even to the extent of, well, we want our dinosaur facing the motel. In the game, it's facing out because it's an outpost and a guard tower. We need ours in because of story reasons. But then we were able to take a lot of the elements from the game and the section in Novak and pepper them into these establishing shots. So you feel that texture and depth to it. But there's still a lot of fluidity to it. We were like, okay, well, we're going to make it Novak, but in terms of what we were going to get from our drone shot and which drone shot we were going to take and then where we were going to add stuff, we did all that after the fact. We had some basic ideas from our incredible production designer and Howard Cummins, our amazing production designer. He gives us the freedom to be able to develop the world that he's started. We then build on it and then we trust our artists to do the same, and editorial trusts us with which pieces to pick and how we're going to put all the pieces together. It's almost the same for each thing down to all those different beats.
I'm sure the volume, Jay, is probably one of the biggest advances you've been working with, and that seemed to go smoother this season than season 1, just perfecting that technology.
Yeah, definitely. From a production standpoint, yeah, the volume is definitely a tool we've embraced, but we don't want to live on it, so we don't embrace it. I can't say we overutilize it. We just pick a few sequences and a few beats that work really well. And Fred and the team has helped us with cleanup on those. We don't ever replace anything. We always want to shoot final pixel when we shoot on the volume, but shooting on film on a volume stage is much trickier because if you're shooting normally on a volume with a digital camera, you film it, you go in the DIT tent, everybody looks at it, you tweak the background, change the color value, the luminance, whatever it is, you go back and you shoot it again. Well, that for us is a 2-week process of filming a bunch of brackets, developing it, seeing if you like it, going back, guessing to make another change, using all the same color science, but it's a lot trickier when it comes to film, especially when you end up saying we're not going to replace it all. But we really love the way it ends up looking on film, actually, even though it's a lot harder. There's something about a digital image and shooting it on film that softens it, and I think makes it look a little less digital and a little more real, depending on the environments that we choose.
Yeah, we've made a whole tool set to kind of mimic what those lenses are doing, because you're still using the panoramic lenses.
Well, we're also using anamorphic. The anamorphic on film, especially those old Hawk lenses, my goodness, they're like some ancient glass that is just bendy and warpy and distorted, and
there's aberration around the edge, like color aberration, and this weird smearing that is not like a regular like blurring or a bokeh. It's got some weird effects. Because we have so many shots coming, we build a tool set so that when we are extending around those edges and they go into the volume inside the one of the vaults, and we're shooting off the top, so we have to recreate a lot of that stuff, and you have to match what those lenses do, and it does look gorgeous. I mean, it's in one of the few shows that are shot on film, and it looks fantastic, except when you have to clean up the grain. Sometimes you guys get scratches and stuff.
Oh my goodness, yeah. But that's of course also the painful part. Is the only part we're cleaning up is the edges that are the most distorted. It's like, oh good Lord, how to make it hard on ourselves. There's the volume, but of course the big question is how much AI are you going to use and have you used? We have not used much of all yet. We're figuring out where we're going to land for season 3, because it really is a philosophical question more than anything else. You can, quote unquote, do almost anything. The question is what are you going to do, and what's the best for the artistry, what's the best for the show, what's the best for creative, what's the best for the world. And we're in the midst of trying to suss that out right now. I'm not sure where it's all going to land for season 3 and moving forward. There's some amazing tools out there. I just don't know which ones are the best ones for the type of work that we're trying to do and the control we want to have. It's just the issue. It's like, okay, well, I can utilize this tool, but it still has to be a human that controls it. Even like something like particle systems, where you're like, well, you basically ask it to do something and you don't really get to control the specific parts of it. And you put in parameters and you figure it out and you hone it and you shape it and you figure out how it's going to work. It's kind of like, imagine using a hose and asking where the water drops should go. You can control the nozzles to an extent, but if I really am wanting to use a laser pointer versus a shotgun, I need to have some more specificity to it to get exactly what I want from an artistry standpoint. And that's where humans still are going to be doing all of it. It's just a matter of how the tool responds to that artistry.
Some of the things we're going to see early on is like replacing, like removing things from shots and clean plating. This is stuff that we have the technology to do. There is a philosophy right now, usually when you're working on a show that has a lot of like intellectual property, that we avoid AI because we don't know how it's trained. We don't know what it was trained on. You know, most people can use any of these websites and type in Spider-Man, and it's going to give you a guy in a red and blue suit, which means it was trained on, you know, somebody else's property. We're specifically talking to a company that actually has a raw engine. And the idea that we're moving forward towards is that we can have our artists pose and keyframe the shot and have it take care of the rendering a little bit for us in the middle. And that's probably the first step we're going to get to, where we can use AI to replace and kind of speed up the process a little bit. But you still have to have somebody, you know, like the Roach. You know, we had to design a Roach that worked, that fit the game and fit what we had on set and felt threatening. That still has a process. And we don't want to just prompt our way out of that, because we need to see it from every angle. It has to be temporally consistent in every shot. And those issues are still there that you can't get there. I think it's definitely going to change the industry. Don't get me wrong. I think we all got to be, you know, honest about that and accounting for the fact that there are people involved. You know, it's a very sensitive topic around your artists and talking about that. But I think I have a meeting scheduled today to talk about it, just to say like, hey, well, what can we do to make it more efficient? We don't want to actually, it's not like we're going to like cut shortcuts and drop it, but can we do more for our clients? Can we actually get more iterations done faster so that we can show them more of a breath instead of waiting, you know, 4 weeks to see that first version? You know, can we get them something in the first week and then, you know, iterate on that and do more? So I think we're going to end up in the future doing more with less people, but still with people who have craft and talent.
And I think the other part for me is to keep my budgets the same so I can just do more scope within the same category. Like, that's really what I've found to be true with every advancement we've had, is we can say yes to more when the technology gets better. I mean, Fred, I don't know about you. I remember back in the day where my rule was don't have hair, don't have fire, don't have water. Just straight up. I mean, especially when I worked back in shows that were 22 episodes and quicker turnarounds and everything else. I would just basically, I'd have a little beginning of the season with the show, with the writers. I'm like, all right, you want a creature? Great, no hair. You want an effect? Great, no fire, no water, minimal smoke, and we can say yes to most everything after that. Do a bunch of hard surface stuff. Great.
Yeah. But now, like you said, now it's changed. Water isn't as scary.
That's just the technology, and the tools that we have now have gotten to the point that where we can say yes to more creative ideas. And now, because of the way the business model changed, now we actually do have more time. We don't always have more money, but we have more money than we used to have. My goodness. I mean, oh my goodness. Back in the day, we had $25,000 an episode on Alias. That was it. Doesn't go very far now, but we had to turn around so many things in such a short period of time that it made sense. Now the expectations, because of shows like Westworld and obviously Game of Thrones and things, have changed the business model in a way that I think gives us the chance to say yes to more and do more creative things. And I just want us to do the things that you can't do practically. And there's a lot of things that you can't do practically that we're able to do now, which is great. We don't have to just be in a high wide that we tilt down to do a 2D matte painting all the time. Go up in a drone, it's good. It'll be more real. And I think it creates a more visceral and realistic storytelling for all the things we're trying to do.
On the Roaches, like, that was really exciting because we had just worked with this animation supervisor, Jeff Riley, and we had him on the show for a different project. And when Jay came about the Roaches, I was like, Jay, you're gonna love this. We have a whole sequence of Roaches. And we had about 4 animators plus Jeff kind of managing just those Roaches. And they were all hand animated. Like, there's no AI technology for that. We didn't use any procedural thing because we have access to good animators up here in Oregon. It's always been like the source of the stop motion world. So we have a lot of good access to animators. And that was a very handcrafted approach system to try to like flush things out and do a blocking pass. And then we do a refinement pass. And then we do a breakdown pass, and then we polish. And that was a very traditional system. But again, you know, the computers are faster, everything's moving faster. We could render those shots quickly and see them. So we're using traditional methods and just try to take advantage of all the technology that we have and the horsepower we have to move through it swiftly so that we could get that handcrafted, which is great. It really lines up with the way they shoot it, you know, on film with a DP that understands how to process film and bracket it and bring it back. So I feel like it kind of matches up to do that with human hands. We were probably about 20 maybe at max for the show as far as artists, just on our team. I think that, you know, you ask Jay, he's going to have a few vendors involved, so it's bigger than that. But we try to, you know, it can get unwieldy if you have giant teams who do this stuff. So it's nice to have a nice team that can move from one sequence to the next and really kind of plan out how you're going to approach the whole show.
It was a lot. I mean, it wasn't more than 10 or 12 though, but doing a little over 3,000 shots for 8 episodes. 800 of those were Google noses. So when you have a character that's just getting rid of his nose, that's a whole separate category. And then, you know, I've got a pretty big team. My on-set team is usually about 10, and then my post team is about 12. But there's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of things obviously going on all at once.